the streets of Meadowlands in Soweto, Gauteng. They've returned to calm after service delivery protests erupted in the area recently. The community claims that it has been without electricity for months and says that Eskom doesn't want to help them. But as of yesterday, Eskom says its teams have managed to gain access to Meadowlands in Soweto, and they've resumed work to repair the faulty cables. Community leaders, they've engaged with residents, also urged them to end the protests following the commitment from the power utility. Perhaps to give us an update on this, we are joined by Eskom Gauteng spokesperson Amanda Qithi. Amanda obviously will be weighing in from Eskom's perspective. We also did reach out to community leaders and residents, and they were unavailable at this time. And so as we continue with our conversation, let's bring Amanda into the conversation. Amanda, very good afternoon, and thank you. Thank you for your time at this hour. Let's get to the issue at hand. Obviously, the issues that have been raised by Meadowlands residents accusing Eskom of neglecting their plea for assistance. As it stands, what's transpired? What can you confirm?
Good afternoon, Lisa, and good afternoon to your viewers. I can confirm that as of yesterday, there is areas that we've managed to restore some of the zones that were off. Okay. We have managed to restore them. However, we are still busy on site trying to restore supply to Zone 1. So that is the one area that is still off currently. We are struggling to access the cable. It's quite deep, so it's taking us longer than we anticipated. So we do have our technicians on the ground still working towards restoring supply. All
right, because, you know, some are questioning what was the issue at hand? Why did they not have power for such a long time? And even if you're looking at that schedule load reduction, they're saying there were some inconsistencies as well. What transpired on that front?
All right, so I think we need to separate the two issues. Sure. And explain what load reduction is.
Sure.
Meadowlands is one of the areas where we implement load reduction. And load reduction is implemented in areas where we have high energy losses, and these are due to illegal connections, customers bypassing their meters, okay, and also tampering with the meters. And as a result, the transformers are at risk of exploding or getting damaged. So what we do to manage that and to ensure that their transformers do not overload, we switch them off during peak periods. It's not all the time and it's not every day. However, the times, it's in the peak, in the mornings, during peak times between 5 and 9 in the morning, and then in the evenings it's been also between 5 and 9 p.m. So Meadowlands is part of then the area that is experiencing load reduction. So that's the one part of
sure.
it. But however, over and above that, what happened is that we had a cable fault that was affecting Meadowlands. So they would get off from, for example, load reduction. And then after that, it so happened that we had then this cable fault, which affected supply to them, which is what really frustrated them the most. Because as soon as I think they got out of load reduction, a couple of hours after, we had a cable fault, which affected these particular zones in Meadowlands.
Okay, thank you. That clarity is important. I wonder also the issue of residents not paying their penalties. Is that also something that gets factored in? But if we're looking at how much is owed to Eskom at large, what does that picture look like in reality as we speak?
All right. So I think with regards to the fines that were issued to the different communities around Gauteng, this has nothing to do with that. That is something that we treat separately. They had to pay the fines because they bypassed their meters. They were buying electricity from all the illegal vendors. We manage that separately. We don't factor it when it comes to load reduction.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Yes, and then just to the point about the overall broader picture about, you know, the state of Eskom and what's owed to them by the residents of Soweto. Paint that picture. I mean, we're also looking at our dire economic situation as a country and as a province as well. And I wonder if you can factor some of those dynamics contributing to those as well.
All right. So, Lisa, also you'd remember that most of the customers in Soweto have been moved to prepaid meters. So, and we did this in order to assist the residents so that they can manage their own consumption. You know how much you're going to use per month and you know how much you can afford. So you basically, if a month my budget is to spend 200 rands for electricity, so you basically go buy the units with 200 rands or 300 rands. So we have managed to get to a point where majority of our customers within Soweto, they've been converted to prepaid meters. So that is what we're doing. And also when we restore or replace the transformers that have failed, in the areas that are still on postpaid, we are actually transitioning and making sure that before we replace the transformer, we convert those customers to prepaid. So I think at this particular point, our biggest focus is to make sure that we install prepaid meters in the majority of in the few areas that are left that are still on postpaid. But as it stands, customers are managing their own consumption because they're buying units and then they use whatever they've bought the units for.
Yes, and if we can just look at the lessons learned from this, scenario, ensuring communication between Eskom and the community at large. Would you want to divulge anything on that front? And in terms of staying up to date with, the announcements as well, talk to us about that communique that will be happening.
All right. So I think first and foremost is for me to say that we'd like to urge the communities to update their details because when we have outages, we send SMSs to the customers to alert them that we are aware of the outage, we are attending to it. And if we do have an estimated time of restoration, then we provide updates to say that we estimate that supply will be restored, let's say at 5 p.m. If we are unable to meet that time, we still use the same platform to then update those customers. That's direct communication to the affected customers. But over and above that, we then use our social media platforms, which is X and Facebook, then to communicate the very same message that we would have sent via the SMSs to the public at large so that they are aware of what we're doing and any constraints that we might be experiencing while trying to restore supply. We also have our customer services colleagues that are part of the community groups with the councillors and the community leaders, and those are the platforms that we also use then to provide the updates. I think what is also very key is for customers that they need to also understand that if they protest and they block roads, it actually takes us longer to restore supply, because in this case we had to recall our services because our employees were not feeling safe, and in any case we couldn't access those areas so that we can start with the repair work.
Yeah, Amanda, thank you for your time. I know that clarity is key at this point, and I know that Eskom has now managed to obviously gain access to Meadowlands in Soweto, having resumed work to repair the faulty cables. Thank you for also outlining that key messaging there, of course, following the protests there with regards to some of the electricity and power outages that had been experienced. Amanda Qithi is Eskom Gauteng spokesperson.